Okay, so I'm listening to The World According to Jesse, and he's talking about climate change and whatnot. And I'm just listening as I do, just listening to things I would agree with, things I would disagree with, things I would question, being unsure of things. And, it bleeds into um, the religious aspect of this whole quote unquote debate. So what he said was that people believe that there's no climate change. The religious people believe that there's no climate change because God would not do that. That's not what he would do. And then there's the other aspect of it where when you do have these freak lake effect snowstorms, these blizzards or droughts or torrential downfalls that can cause heavy flooding in areas, that's what we get, freak tornadoes, random mini quakes, things like that. Then they say that's, God punishing or whatnot. They'll make up many reasons. They do it, they'll say God does it because of the transgender or homosexual marriage or abortions or things like that. And here's the thing, Jesse pointed out very well that, they take religious people and people in general, they don't take kind when you challenge their beliefs, when you challenge things that, well, whether it's a belief or not, that they don't, things that people believe that they know, that they trust in, whether quote unquote belief or not, things that they trust in to a very partisan degree. And I'm thinking, but all this bites, because I'm like, rationally, it doesn't make sense if you think about it. I mean, if you actually question why, why, instead of just having the blanketed blind answer of God works in mysterious ways, why? When you think about it, when you really think about it, you have the whole climate issue. Now, rationally questioning anyone of faith or anything, where in the Bible or the Quran or anything does it talk about climate change? Where does it talk about the ozone layer? That thing that no one knew existed until basically recently in our times. Where does it talk about anything of the sort of lake effect snow, depleting ozone layers, depleting, water conservations or things like that? I've never heard of such a thing. I've never heard of it being spoken of. I don't see where I think there are mentions of it where they say that God or whoever would smite those of homosexuality. They also talk about God punishing or smiting those who have long hair. They talk about the whole thing about, don't mix fabrics, and there's a whole lot of things. But I can't understand where they would talk about climate change, an issue they had no idea about. So the question would come in, where does this belief come from? What happened? It's quite simple. It's very simple. It's political, and it's tribalism. It's very strange. I'm going to lay it out for you. Climate change, people brought it up. Scientists brought it up. These things are happening. Their research is done. You get articles and papers. You get some that spread it. And then it gets into the political arena. Why? Because when you learn about climate change, what can be done to stop all the CO2 emissions? What can be done to stop the methane emissions and things like that? So that becomes the question. What can you do to slow it down, stop it, or reverse it? So then they said, oh, well, the best way to do that would be to, if our cars went from combustion fuel of oil, gasoline, whatnot, to solar, or using biodegradable food somehow as a continuous source of energy. That's a great way. If we can find converters to remove emissions as they're pumped out. If we go from using these the coal and oil industry to using wind, water, and electrical field generated turbines, things like that, solar energy, green energy, all this other stuff, and using stored energy to back up any energy that is lost due to any cloud covers or failures of systems and whatnot. Now, the problem that comes in is when that happens and they say, well, you know what, that's a great thing. That's the future. Why does it turn political? That's more of a social issue, and the government should back it because that's what the people want. Literally in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and mainly in the early mid 90s, people wanted these things. They thought it was awesome. It was the way of the future. It's a great idea. But then this would hurt. It would devastate. It would practically annihilate the pockets of the coal and oil industry. So when that happens, they say, wait. No, you're not going to do this and destroy our old money revenue, basically. That's what you're going to do. You're going to destroy their way of living, their billions and billions of dollars of revenue, profit, glory, and political power. So what they do is they get the politicians. They will pay the politicians to bring up the debate. You first bring it up, and then you say that, then they get them to say things like, it would hurt American jobs. It would destroy American families. And then when that's not enough, usually within about 2 weeks to a month's time, you'll hear something like, God would not want us to do such a thing. And once you hear that phrase, once the religious people hear that phrase, God would not want this, or God says, or God does, or whatever the hell is going on at the time, they will then pick up that mantle and say, they're right, because they are irrationally obligated to go with it. Now, does this speak for 100% of religious people? No, it doesn't. But I can tell you it speaks for bottom barrel least half. I can assume that safely. Once they hear it, they say, okay, I have to agree because it's God. They're a political person. And there's no way that anyone's going to allow anyone into power that's not religious. If you are not within our religion, you are not going to be within power. So for this politician who is of good Christian faith and value and family values and morals, when they say it, that means it's true. So they take it onto themselves, and then they'll say that it's their belief. So citing that climate change is happening is like going against their belief, and it's a whole road to protect a business that's hurting everyone. That's how this plays out. That's what goes on, and no one wants to acknowledge it. Because if they do, then they would have to acknowledge that they've lied to themselves to accept a lie from someone else so they don't look terrible in the eyes of their church congregation or privately to God in their own eyes. That's how that gets started. That's how that proliferates. So then you have the religious mindset that go out and they will protest. They will protest against anyone that's for green, solar, renewable energies. They will protest anyone that is for same-sex marriage or anything. They will protest them. When you don't want people of the same sex to get married adopt children, you all you've got left is God will punish you. God will punish them. So that's what they do. And that's what these religious people go on. In all religions so far that I've noticed, same sex is frowned upon. They'll stone them. They'll kill them basically in very gruesome and, just downright inhumane ways. So when it comes to these things, it's scary. It really is, because now you have a 2,000 plus year old text by somebody who wanted to control others being regurgitated by those who don't know anything in a very modernized time. And you start to realize that in order to do this, you have to cherry pick what you want. I mean, do you hate gays? But then if someone in your family is gay, then you either hate them or you say, well, look, it meant these gays, not the ones that I know. It's a strange situation. So honestly, this is one of the main reasons why there is a separation of church and state, which we've lost maybe 2 centuries ago. We probably lost it as soon as everything was enacted to make this a country. Because at first you had to be an atheist. You had to just to be in power. And the atheists would protect every person's ability and right to practice their own religion. The problem is the dominant religion of this country is Christianity. And when you have that dominant religion going on and saying, this is how you're going to be, this is how you're going to act, and everyone that is born is indoctrinated into Christianity, then it takes what? Only a Christian can become a representative of the people. That's the only way it's going to happen. So that's how you get in power. You can't get in and say, hey, I'm this atheist and I am looking out for everyone. I want to protect the environment. I want to protect the environment. I want to, I know I just repeated myself. I want to protect your rights. I want to protect your liberties, civil and whatnot. I want to make sure that those that go to prison get actually rehabilitated instead of taught how to be a harder criminal, or go to prison, get hardened, and then unfit for our quote unquote civil society. I am for the space program. I want the newest technologies. I want to go green. I want to have better voting rights, registrations. I want to restore everything that we've been losing all of this time. You can't say I'm an atheist and I'm extremely progressive, because they'll say, wait, you want to save my life, you want to help my kids, reduce my taxes, help me get into college, go to college for free, make sure that when I go to the hospital that I will be seen, if anything, almost for free. But the problem is you're not Christian. So Christian, you're not even a Muslim. So you don't believe in anything. So we're not going to vote for you. So they'll vote for the people that's going to destroy them just because religious indoctrination, opposed to the ones that aren't religious, that's trying to save them and everyone else. That's that's a major aspect of the country, which is why you have some atheists who are very much against religion. They would love to see religion burn. They don't want anyone of religion living. They'd rather see them all die. They really do, because they're just sick of it. They are. But here's the thing. Atheists aren't going out and shooting and killing anyone. Not in the name of climate change and their beliefs. Not in the name of defeating homosexuality and their beliefs. It seems to be that every killing, every massacre Every shooting, every massacre has been done by someone of Christianity or Islamic faith. These fundamentalists, these crazies in my mind, they're crazy. So what I want to close with is we need better. We need for those who are indoctrinated, that might be, actually everyone's roughly indoctrinated, but we need them that when they have this idea of, I want to be free of that because it's just not making sense, what we need is a place for them to go. This is why we have safe spaces. But the problem with the safe space is it doesn't get you prepared for the battle outside of it. And the battle isn't against any religion. The battle is defending yourself rationally, peaceably, logically. That's the real battle. That's the only reason why a safe space is not a good space. You can't fight. And we need people that can fight for, well, if you have no belief in God, then they need to be able to battle that. And other than religion is stupid, you follow something that's not real, and anything else they can think of to go against God, we need them to be able to do such a thing. And if you are religious, if you believe in God, we need these people, especially if they believe in God and they also believe, look, climate change, it's not a God thing, it's a people thing. We did this, whether, we can't blame God for it and say that he also did not cause it. You can't go both ways depending upon what you hate at the moment. We need them to be able to defend themselves rationally and logically. We need them to be able to do what they need to get others that just might be like them, that just say, look, we need green energy. We can't use religion to control people for these big giant corporations, these conglomerates. That's what we need to do. It's not about one versus the other. It's literally and factually all about being civil and rational and having a logical argument. That to me is the main point. So if you can, whoever you know, share this with them. Whether they're Republican, especially if they're Republican, if they're conservative, which is the great majority of the country. I don't care if you're blue. If you're blue, you're real conservative. So share this. Share this with any and everyone. Get their opinion, or just, I guess, cherry pick what I'm saying and share it with that. Maybe clip out something or something. But it's not that we need to have this debate. We just need for people to understand there are things to rationalize and not rationalize. And when someone says that climate change isn't real because God, that's not rational. When someone says climate change is happening, all these weird effects are happening because God, see, that's what makes it not rational. We need rationality. And that's what I'm pushing for with this post. Rationality. This is Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.